Viewers, today could well prove to be a red-letter day for the Congress party. If young leaders in the Congress think they will get their due in a party for putting their heart and soul into serving it, then they better learn from how the Gandhis treated a disciplined, loyal, dynamic soldier. Sachin Pilot made the mistake of wearing his ambitions on his sleeve. He made the mistake of demanding his due. He made the mistake of thinking that the party's bosses would reward enterprise, hard work, commitment, dynamism, and most importantly, viewers, ambition. He was clearly mistaken. In a cruel twist of fate, not just has Sachin Pilot been divested of this notion, but he has been stripped of all his posts in a party that he resurrected virtually single-handedly in Rajasthan. We are talking about a politician, viewers, who coursed across the state more than 5 lakh kilometers over a period of 5 years to build this organization, the Congress party in Rajasthan, and bring it to power. That is what he was entrusted to do. He was the CEO on the ground, viewers. But when it came to giving him that position, finally rubber stamping his contribution, he was robbed. Even then, he settled for second best. He said, okay, in the interests of the party, if they ask me today that I will be Deputy Chief Minister, I will be Deputy Chief Minister, it's okay. But viewers, when the Chief Minister of the state decided to call Sachin Pilot's loyalty into question, his commitment into question, and the Gandhis sat silent, he said, enough is enough. I can't put up with this. The only thing I have, apart from the enterprise, the hard work, the initiative that I bring to the table, is my integrity. And if that is going to be questioned today, and the Gandhis are not going to step in, if those that are supposed to sit in judgment are not going to give me my due, then what's the point? What's the point, viewers? And that is exactly what has happened. That is exactly what has happened, and he's not alone. Let me tell you, viewers, look at your screens tonight. Sachin Pilot, yes, sideline amidst a power tussle with Gehlot. Gehlot realized that Sachin Pilot, the dynamic young man, will be a threat to his own son. So he schemed and plotted and even indirectly accused Sachin Pilot of seditious activities. Can you believe it, viewers? How much was Sachin Pilot supposed to swallow? And why didn't the Gandhis step in and ended this charade and restore dignity where it was deserved? Jyotiraditya Scindia, very close to Rahul Gandhi, sat in parliament, whispered into Rahul Gandhi's ears. He was not given the post of the Madhya Pradesh Congress chief. That's all he was asking for, not even the chief minister's position. In fact, he turned down the deputy chief minister's post. He said, just give me an opportunity like Sachin to build the party for you. Kamal Nath is the old guard. He's not going to be around to nurse that party. I can do it for you. Invest in me. They didn't bother. Himanta Biswa Sarma dumped because viewers, another dynast, Tarun Gogoi, decided to give his son a ticket. And Himanta Biswa Sarma realized that he is not going to stand a chance in the long run. Not the only one. Let's look at the next. Ashok Gehlot. He was dumped in favor of Mr. Huda. Mr. Huda, who faces all sorts of land grab charges, viewers, because he was close to Mr. Vadra. Got a foot in the door. Young Dalit leader had to resign from the Congress. ahead of the Haryana Assembly polls. Then, of course, in the Northeast, Pradyot Devaraman told to leave the party for filing a plea in the Supreme Court. Yes, in the Supreme Court on the NRC issue, and the Congress party talks about internal party democracy. Shown the door. Shown the door. If you have conviction, if you have the courage to stand up for your conviction, if you have a belief, if you have a conscience, you can't answer for it. In the Congress party, you can't answer to it, viewers. You'll be shown the door. I want to open this out. I want to go straight across first on the ground, because there is a cabinet meeting taking place in the state of Rajasthan, in Jaipur. Arvind is there with us. Arvind, I want to point you to a photograph that we have. This photograph is from the hotel in which the Congress MLAs were shepherded into and kept overnight. Now, what we are seeing is Gehlot says that he has 107 MLAs. What we see is only 63. Where are the others? Does he actually have the numbers? Is a floor test unavoidable? Is he shamming? Is he trying to claim that he is popular even though he actually isn't? And have the Gandhis backed Mr. Gehlot without checking who really enjoys popularity amongst the legislators? Is there Arvind there with us? I think we've lost him. Madhav there's with this broadcast. 1 second, Arvind. We're going to try and restore your line. We're going to try. I can't hear you. Obviously, there's a signal drop. We're going to try and get that rectified. Yes. Madhav, I just want to quickly ask you, what is Sachin Pilot's plan? What's he expected to do next?
Well, Rahul, as you rightly mentioned, the numbers Sachin Pilot's camp has been saying since yesterday are not there with Ashok Gehlot. Those numbers are what Sachin Pilot says is that apart from the 17, there are many more MLAs who are there with him, and the total number is in excess of 30. That is what his camp has repeatedly maintained. Point number one. Point number two, Sachin Pilot has built up a huge rank and file within the state unit of Rajasthan, and what we are seeing today is that his supporters are all resigning. But they're not resigning from the Congress party. They're resigning from their posts. And that is what Sachin Pilot wants to really, and his camp really wants to say, that despite the humiliation after humiliation,
there has been heaped by Ashok Gehlot. Is a press conference from Sachin Pilot, Madhav, right? What's he expected to say? Is he going to launch his own party? Is he going to just sit back and say, okay, I'm going to remain just an ordinary MLA? What are you hearing? What are the sources telling you? Madhav, very quickly. Yes.
Well, definitely a press conference expected tomorrow, Rahul. That's certainly something that we are expecting. It is expected to be in the first half of the day. The location is yet not known, but whether he is launching his own political party, whether he is actually going to merge with the BJP, that's something that they haven't spoken about just yet. Till now, they're maintaining that they're still members of the Congress party. At least that's the word.
I'm picking up signals from those very close to Sachin Pilot to suggest that he might even launch his own political party. He may not, for the moment, join the Bharatiya Janata Party. That's what I'm learning. Arvind, over to you. Is a final test, floor test, unavoidable, given the fact that there seem to be some, at least visible disparities in the numbers that Gehlot is projecting and the photographs we have on our screens?
In that case, what will the speaker's role be? Will these MLAs...
Yes, that's right, Rahul. You are absolutely right, and you have hit the nail on its head, because Avinash Pandey, when he has done that 2:30 a.m. press conference, they have claimed a number that they have 109 MLAs with them. What our sources tells us that Ashok Gehlot, when today met Kalraj Mishra, the governor of Rajasthan, he has given him the list of 104 MLA. So that are 5 less than what Ashok Gehlot camp was claiming. As far as my sources says that this game is still on, and Sachin Pilot has not shown his card. Sachin Pilot is very confident that he have much more number than the video which was released last night shown. 17 people we have seen in that video that they were there, including 2 ministers who are sacked there. But there are are MLAs in Rajasthan Congress which may be going to support Sachin Pilot. So game is still on in Rajasthan, because obviously the Congress party has tried to keep its back door open for Sachin Pilot, but here the game is on, because what my sources tells that Sachin Pilot is still not opened his cards, and obviously he has some tricks on the sleeves, and he's not going to form any party. He is in Congress, and obviously in coming days we can see some kind of development. That is why the arrangement for the MLAs in Jaipur in Fairmont Hotel have been extended for 7 more days.
Very interesting. 7 more days. The reservations have been extended, viewers. So obviously Gehlot is worried that he doesn't have perhaps the numbers or the loyalty of the MLAs. Maybe some of them today, within their heart of hearts, are seething at the insult to a leader who brought them into power over the last 5 years, viewers. Yes, seething. And I want to go straight across to Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, you're one of those who has single-handedly faced what it means to deserve and ask and demand your due in the Congress party. Has Sachin Pilot made the cardinal mistake of demanding his due, deserved due?
Well, Rahul, it is hardly a mystery. As you rightly mentioned in the introduction to your program, the numbers don't lie. And the numbers manifest the whole story of what is really happening today. The source of the conflict is the terribly, in my opinion, myopic decision to deny the chief minister's position to Sachin Pilot. A party can only survive if it's all about performance and merit. When he worked for 5 years in Rajasthan, a difficult state, Rahul, traveling the length and breadth of the state. I remember going there twice, and the people in Rajasthan loved Sachin. The truth is that it was his remarkable energy and drive that made the Congress win 100 seats from a wretched 21 that he inherited from Mr. Gehlot's performance of the 2013 election. Now, with due respects to Mr. Gehlot, he had been chief minister twice over. So for Sachin Pilot, if you and I were Sachin Pilot, you and I would feel terribly miffed, almost dismayed that we were denied after putting up an extraordinary performance. I asked him this question, when do you meet your family? Because, his family was not living with him in Rajasthan. And he told me at that point of time that, I managed to eke out some time on a weekend to go to Ghaziabad or Delhi, where he met them. And when somebody puts in so much of personal effort to not be rewarded, the Congress leadership should have been aware at the very beginning that you created these headwinds. To expect Sachin to take that humiliation and settle for, frankly, a secondary position, where Mr. Gehlot, from what I read in the papers, I'm not saying that I'm privy to what really happened, continuously kind of denied him the opportunity to even play that role to the full. I think the last, straw that broke the camel's back was the incident of these notices being sent to him with him coming to know about it when it was already in the public domain. So this is a very orchestrated attempt to try and basically not just stigmatize him, but to try and basically dwarf him. And you do that to a man who actually brought you to power. I don't think there can be anything more ridiculous than that. So I want to end by just making one point, Rahul. Today, the Congress party has lost. A lot of my fellow spokespersons are going on TV channels and saying that, Sachin became this and that at such a young age. But, Rahul, if you are good, you have a right to hope to be the chief minister. You should hope to be the prime minister. Why not? It's all about merit. If you deliver, dream big. I mean, this is what the new India is all about. And secondly, to say that, he got these positions in the past is to actually say that we are not into merit. Just because we gave it to you, you have to swear an allegiance, no matter the humiliation, the mortification heaped on you. I don't think that's the way the Congress should be.
Sanjay Jha, one second, Tehseen Poonawalla, you're close to the family. You're never going to feel these headwinds. Don't worry. But I want to bring in Sanjay Jha 1 minute. Just one. Let him speak. Let him speak. Let a man who is...
Give me half the time.
Let a man. I'll give you more time. Don't worry.
Half the time.
Don't worry. Let's not get about, look. I know.
Fair enough.
You're a privileged guy. Don't worry. I'll give you time. Don't worry. One second. Sanjay Jha. Allow talent to become entrepreneurial within the organization. This is the basic law. This is the basic law of good corporate management, of good management.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
here, we don't see that. We don't see. Are you worried today? You are speaking so openly. Are you scared that you might be sacked from the party next? Is it a possibility? Do you fear it?
Well, Rahul, I'll be very honest. I got a lot of people from the Congress party who messaged me and said, why are you going on Times Now? And I said, why shouldn't I go there? Because I always believe that we should never boycott media. We should never boycott media. The fourth estate has a role. Whether it is critical of you, appreciative of you, or dispassionate, that's none of our business. Our job is to go on a channel and express our viewpoint. And ultimately the audience judge it. Now, I think you can't play politics with this level of insecurity. I've been told that, I could be sacked tomorrow for having spoken so explicitly in favor of Sachin. So be it. I mean, it doesn't change my passion to try and see that the party of Gandhi and Nehru that I joined still manages to make a comeback. But, Rahul, at the end of the day, I mean, the truth, as you rightly mentioned, and Karthi mentioned it on his tweet as well, that a party which has been such a huge contributor to the India story cannot abjectly surrender those very principles when you are challenged. You lose an election, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
We have been devastated in 2 elections, it's all right. You can make a comeback. In politics, there is no such thing as a permanent winner or a permanent loser. But the attitude of having just surrendered and to get into this internecine fight, the Congress has lost today. And this is political harakiri, Rahul, because look at what we did in Madhya Pradesh a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And Jyotiraditya and Pilot, 2 people who I have repeatedly said so, are potential prime ministerial candidates of a Congress government or even a Congress president, are no longer getting the same status in our party. One of them is already in the BJP.
Yeah.
I think that's a sad commentary. That's a sad commentary.
Just stay on with us. Just stay on with us for 3 more minutes. I want to bring in Tehseen Poonawalla. Tehseen Poonawalla, respond to Sanjay Jha. The Congress is losing. It is reacting from a point of insecurity, extreme insecurity. People who want or demand their due are being shown the door. I've given you the examples. How do you respond, sir?
So I'm going to be very brief in less than half the time Sanjay Jha took. I'm stunned, Rahul Shivshankar, that you started with this whole old guard, new guard debate, because by your logic, Rahul, Shri Modi is born in 1950s, older than Ashok Gehlot ji. So Modi should be shown with, oh Modi sir, and let's have somebody young as the Prime Minister. But I'm not going to go into that debate. The fact of the matter was, Kirti Azad, a youngster, a younger man, who won the World Cup for India and challenged Arun Jaitley sir on scam and DDA, was shown the door. But that is meritocracy. I'm not even going to go to that debate. Let me ask two very pertinent points. Since Rahul Shivshankar, you speak about democracy, and I was in Rajasthan doing Times Now from Rajasthan during the times of the elections. I remember joining you. 89 MLAs voted for Ashok Gehlot and then 2 more voted. If that is not democracy, what is democracy? Even today, your report is showing 60 plus MLAs, though there are 109 MLAs with Ashok Gehlot. He commands the majority of MLAs. Sachin has 20 odd MLAs. That means Ashok Gehlot should be bypassed because he has more MLAs. And my last question, Rahul, since I know you personally, Rahul, you were in NewsX, you were in India Today. You're a great person. You never bitched about those organizations. Today, you're the editor-in-chief of the #1 channel of the country. You're the #1 editor-in-chief. Does that mean that they were disloyal, you were disloyal? No. You move on in life. Sachin did great. He moved on in life. All the best. We wish we could have retained Sachin. We didn't. That's the end of the story. Ashok Gehlot has the majority, and we will prove it whenever BJP wants.
Look, I accept the fact. I accept the fact that the Congress today, and you have to begin to listen. The Congress today, and you have to accept what some of your own colleagues are saying. The Sibbals of the world are saying, the Prasadas of the world are saying, the Tharoors are saying, the Nirupams are saying, the Bishnois are saying. You have to hear them. And you have to accept the fact that there is something, and I accept this openly, that if you don't belong, if you don't perform, you should be shown the door. It is the survival of the fittest. This man qualifies. You gave him a ticket. At the young age of 24, you nurtured his talent, you made him a minister, obviously because he was capable. Then you gave him the keys to the Congress's revival in Rajasthan, and he delivered. So why not give him what he deserves? Is it because he hit the Rahul Gandhi glass ceiling? Is there insecurity at the heart of the Congress? That's the question. I haven't got a response from you. I allowed you to speak without interruption. And I didn't make this about old guard, new guard. This is about merit versus individuals who today believe, believe that they have a right because they might be close to the power center, because they enjoy some equation, maybe even pecuniary. I don't know. I'm not in the Congress party. But it doesn't look good optically. Very quickly answer.
Ask your question. Sanjay, quickly respond. You said, Sanjay, that Sachin was continuously in Rajasthan. I accept that. Where was Ashok Gehlot? He was also in Rajasthan. Sachin won Rajasthan for Congress, as did Ashok Gehlot. He did the rallies. But Ashok Gehlot also was in charge of Gujarat, and he took Congress so close. Why you hide those facts, Sanjay? Why?
Okay. Gehlot also worked. Why are you grudging him his time in the sun?
Rahul, we all know that in any principal campaign, there is one protagonist who leads the campaign. The BJP wins Lok Sabha elections, but we all know that Mr. Modi is the true lodestar of the campaign. That cannot be denied. And that's exactly the point I'm making. You know, this argument that a lot of people within my party are making to defend what they have done today, saying that Mr. Gehlot has more legislators supporting him, is a very frangible argument, Rahul. Mr. Gehlot has already been chief minister twice over. This is his third term. And what do chief ministers do? I mean, they appoint ministers in the past. They have given them favors. They have probably helped them out in different political circumstances, appointed them to various, state undertakings. Them having an allegiance to Mr. Gehlot is hardly a surprise. That's not the real issue at the moment. The issue was who contested the election, who led you to the campaign and brought you the victory.
Absolutely.
And I think the one point that you mentioned as a corporate example before I leave, Rahul, in companies, people leave for two reasons. Not because of money, not because they didn't necessarily get a promotion. Jyotiraditya Scindia and Mr. Pilot have both felt miffed because they are not being heard. Nobody listens to them, and it's terribly disrespectful. I think ultimately it boils down to, do we really care for the people who are driving our party's political future? To ignore two heavyweight political assets, young, bright, and as you rightly mentioned, highly promising, is political suicide as far as the Congress is concerned.
Okay, the self-made put a premium on self-respect. Thank you, Sanjay Jha, for putting it so eloquently. I want to bring in Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. Dr. Trivedi, the charge is that Sachin Pilot today is being instigated by the Bharatiya Janata Party. This is a rebellion that is being stoked by you, who is promising him all sorts of sweet positions, a deal. I don't know. That's the charge. How do you respond to those in the Congress who make this accusation today, sir?
Rahul, I would like to remind that when the issue of leadership came after their victory in 2018, there was a demonstration on the street. You might have heard the demonstration on the street against the government. But for the leadership within the party, there was arson and demonstration on the street. Was it done by BJP? You remember at the time of the swearing-in, the seat of the Sachin Pilot allegedly was not put along the side of the governor. And it was Sachin Pilot who has insisted that the Deputy Chief Minister's chair should be there. It was done by BJP. When the list of being released in 2018 elections, some people have filed the nomination before the Congress party has released the list. And Ashok Gehlot in the press conference has said, "Unka muhurat aa gaya tha, isliye kar diya hoga." But the list ka muhurat nahi aaya tha, namankon ka muhurat aa gaya tha. You remember the joint conference of the in 2018 election between Mr. Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot. Sachin himself has announced his candidature. So was BJP doing anything? Now, coming on this. This episode has shown that Mr. Ashok Gehlot has won technically, but Congress has lost the credibility in the youth leadership decisively. You remember in the eastern part of India, Himanta Biswa Sharma, in southern Jagan Mohan Reddy, in west, whether it is Sanjay Nirupam or Alpesh Thakur, in central Jyotiradittya Scindia, and in the north, now Sachin Pilot. North, east, west, south, central, everywhere it is placed, there is no scope of any youth leadership and the challenge. And lastly, I would like to say, आज का सीन देखकर तो मुझे बॉलीवुड फिल्मों का वो सीन याद आता है. 25 years before, 25 साल पहले, इन्हीं दोनों के पिताजी माधवराव सिंधिया और राजेश पायलट के साथ क्या हुआ था, उसके बाद भी मैंने जमींदार साहब के साथ निष्ठा निभाने की कोशिश की और 25 साल बाद आज मेरे साथ वही हो रहा है. सदी नहीं, सेंचुरी हैज चेंज, पीढ़ी नहीं, जनरेशन हैज चेंज. But परिवार वही, the family is same, और सोच वही, the mindset is.
Okay. Before I bring in Dr. Anand Ranganathan and Mr. Raja Gopalan, I want to bring in Sanjeev Srivastava, who is from Rajasthan, who has knows the ins and outs of the state, even called the election right at a time when many people said that, look, the Lok Sabha election, it'll be a tight contest in Rajasthan. He was one of them who said no. In fact, he also called the assembly election right. Now I want to ask you today, Sanjeev Srivastava, can it be said, as the Congress seems to be suggesting, Sachin needs to be patient, वो तो अभी यंग हैं, उनका टाइम आएगा, रिलैक्स कीजिए, ठंडा बैठिए. दुनिया में सर, गूगल जैसी बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट जैसी कंपनियां, फेसबुक जैसी कंपनियां आर बीइंग हेडेड बाय 25, 28, 30, 35, 40 year olds. कंट्रीज आर बीइंग रन बाय 45, 50 year olds से भी कम लोग. ये कांग्रेस में ये क्या है सर, ये नया सिस्टम की वेट फॉर योर टाइम, यू माइट हैव वर्कड हार्ड, बट ठीक है, जब गांधी परिवार आपके लिए प्रिपेयर्ड होगा टू गिव यू एन ऑडियंस, विल गिव यू एन ऑडियंस, वेट योर टाइम. while the Gandhi Parivar, the scion of the Gandhi Parivar can choose. He can refuse to take charge of a UPA ministry. He can get the party 44 seats and then 52 seats, 96 in 2 elections, yet pick the moment when he wants to be president. Why, sir? Why?
So, Rahul, I know Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot quite well, and I've known them quite well for decades. It's not as if Sachin Pilot was, unemployed person or doing nothing. Since the age of, he was the youngest MP in 2004. He became a central minister in 2009. He became PCC chief in 2013. He was a deputy chief minister, sitting PCC chief. It was not as if he was being neglected. Now, what he was wanting was to become the chief minister. And there were clearly two claimants for chief minister's position in Rajasthan. The party, I won't argue in its who should have been better.
No, take a
but
position,
the fact
sir.
Of the matter, like Tehseen
take a position.
Said, and we can all
Sanjeev ji, why will you
yes,
not
I'm
argue? That's the whole
no,
crux.
I'm taking a position. When all legislatures, even today, majority of legislatures are with Gehlot. Gehlot is seen by party as somebody who can rally forces around him.
That is a claim.
Marshal the Rajasthan Congress troops better than Sachin Pilot. See, this country is also not being run by a 35, 40-year-old. So, all these examples about Facebook, etc., they were the founders of those companies. Let us be practical. In politics, it's a game of numbers. Those who have the numbers get the job. Whether you like it or I like it doesn't matter.
Who brought it? The man who walked 5 kilometers across the, 5 lakh kilometers across the length and breadth of Rajasthan got no numbers?
Gehlot.
He was the PCC chief, was he not?
Sir, forget. So they contested well.
What do you mean they?
This is a big misnomer. People
what do you mean they? The CEO,
Mumbai,
the CEO wants to become. No, 1 second. No, 1 second, sir. No. This is a false equivalence.
Gehlot was as much the face of Rajasthan Congress.
No, 1 second, sir. 1 second. He's an individual who lost.
I won't say that he was.
Sachin Pilot was given the responsibility to head the Congress party. He did it. He brought it back. You can quibble about the margins. But he brought the party back. No, he delivered the mandate.
He didn't bring it back single-handedly.
And then he said, I should be chief minister. Even then he seconded himself. Nonetheless, okay, fine. That's what you believe. कि किसी का birthright नहीं है. Gehlot ने भी काम किया है. Okay. Dr. Anand Ranganathan.
बिल्कुल.
Yeah, good evening, Rahul. First of all, thank you very much for that explainer in the beginning about the dynasty. You know, there's so much sympathy being generated for Sachin Pilot, especially by the likes of Mr. Sanjay Jha and others. You would be forgiven to think that, he is not a dynast. And it would be foolhardy to believe that both Sachin Pilot and Rahul Gandhi weren't expecting this. Sure, it is conjectural that Rahul Gandhi instigated this. He might well have used Gehlot's shoulder to fire at Sachin Pilot. But there is little doubt that both of them expected this. And both of them are not disappointed at all. You see, in this battle of the dynasty, one mustn't forget what spawns it. The forming of the dynasty itself. And in this case, it would be the Nehru-Gandhi-Vadra dynasty, the foundation stone for which was arguably laid by Motilal Nehru in 1928 when he wrote to Gandhiji and advocated his son Jawahar for the presidency of the Congress. The sooner Jawahar begins, the better, he wrote. You see, once a dynasty takes root, it takes in fresh blood, but they are little more than au pairs, and their primary role is to protect the dynast's bloodline. And soon, these loyal men and women have their own bloodlines to think of. And given that their conditioning has been in that very feudal setup, there sprouts a small dynasty for each serf, which is exactly what has happened in the Congress. The Pawars, Scindias, Pilots, Prasadas, Dioras, and dozens more. Soon they demand their own pound of flesh, forgetting that there can only be one true bloodline. Even the forking out of an unrelated dynasty is forbidden. Every other mini dynasty that has spawned under this big umbrella has had to break away. And most have been successful because breaking away doesn't prevent the transfer to the young dynast of the family heirloom, which is the constituency and the vote bank. 30% of all current MPs are dynasts. In 2019 elections, Congress fielded 32% of its candidates as dynasts, BJP 22%. Sachin Pilot became the youngest elected MP at 26 when he won from his late father's constituency, Dausa. What were his credentials? What was his talent? The same as Rahul Gandhi when he won from Amethi, his late father's constituency. To survive, please give me 20 seconds. To survive in this short term, these scions merge with another party like Scindia has. But soon, they establish their own fort and crest like the Pawars. Pilot is young, so he might join the BJP. You know, he was opposed to the CAA, but now he'll just delete his old tweets. Rahul, people who vote for them might be, but the one person who is never homeless is a politician.
Okay, well, let me tell you, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, some dynasts are first among equals, and you have to accept this. I'll tell you, when the Gandhis were sitting out in the cold, when Sitaram Kesari, one second, let me just finish. When Sitaram Kesari was warming the seats of the Congress party, when other presidents, one second, allow me, let me finish. I just want to set the record straight. The Gandhis think that they can come back anytime they want to, they can switch on, they can switch off. There's a fundamental difference between Rahul Gandhi. While he was taking his party south, right? The other dynasty was taking it north. Yes, there's an entitlement culture. He also, because of his bloodline, hopes to become the chief minister. But at least in this particular case, no, one second, Dr. Ranganathan, at least in this particular case, you will concede that this dynasty is slightly more deserving than other dynasts. It's not as if Gehlot is securing no future for his own son. Okay, so let's see this in perspective. Dynasts are clashing on all sides. Yes, certain dynasts are more entitled because they have the Gandhi surname suffixed to their name. And they can choose, they can make somebody a prime minister, they can unseat that gentleman, they can make somebody a president, they can unseat it, they can actually leave the presidentship for a little while and pass it amongst themselves.
What was the talent of Sachin Pilot when he became the MP at 26?
I'm not grudging you that. The point you make is fair. Yes, there is a certain sense of entitlement there also. But at least even in a corporate setup, a dynasty who assumes if he can bloat the balance sheet a little bit, bring in profits, he gets to continue. He doesn't have to sell the firm or divest a stake.
I concede that.
This gentleman at least has built the firm. He's built the firm,
Rahul,
and today he's saying, look,
Rahul,
by grace of being the greatest shareholder, I also deserve to sit on the board and perhaps be the chairman of the board. I don't think that should be, one second, I don't think that should be held against him. But let me bring in, it's an interesting point, it's a nuanced point that Dr. Anand Ranganathan is making. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Mr. Raja Gopalan.
See, Mr. Anand Ranganathan has been very correctly putting it, but at the same time he has not taken a stand. He talks both the sides. Like Sanjay Jha, both are my good friends, but I want to differ from them. My understanding, Rahul, it is sincere politics. What Anand Ranganathan says is for the surreal JNU type of historical aspects. But what Sanjay Jha is not taking a stand is a politics. I want to take one particular stand. Sachin Pilot is right. As you said, he walked 5,000 kilometers. Can Ranganathan deny that? Can Sanjay Jha deny that? But at the same time, another understanding, Ranganathan may laugh it, But they are not students. They are politicians. They are electorates. What Ranganathan says, it is applicable to PhD and MPhil students, but not to the electorates. The electorates saw Sachin Pilot a rising leader. Apart from that, two important points I want to make and conclude an argument. One, membership drive is a very popular slogan among the politicians and the political parties. But what Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi are doing, or membership drive, membership driving out from every political aspect. Now I come to Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. He talked about every North Indian leaders. What about Jagan Reddy? What about G.K. Vasan? Why Sudhanshu Trivedi did not mention? They have also been driven out by Mr. Rahul Gandhi because Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy's father also walked like Sachin Pilot, 5,000 kilometers in the entire Andhra Pradesh. We brought the party from Telugu Desam back to Congress. What happened? Congress totally wiped out. Now you see, give me 30 more seconds, like Anand Ranganathan's popular words, give me 30 more seconds. Rajasthan also will see that Congress is totally wiped out. I take a clear-cut stand. Ashok Gehlot today failed, and today Sachin Pilot removal is the last nail in the coffin of Congress.
Very quickly, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, the Congress has lost today. Some.
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. I need to move on.
Yes, I think Rajan has made some. Yes, he's made some excellent points, and I do concede, as I did when you were also saying that yes, no doubt about it, that Sachin Pilot is much more deserving than Rahul Gandhi, and he deserved the chief ministership. I don't hide from that fact. But there is also this thing that, talking about talent in politics, it is not like, saying Rohit Sharma has got talent.
Right.
Here in politics, there is no such thing as talent. People win not because of their success, but because of others' failures. For example, Amit Shah has been in charge of so many elections where BJP has been trounced. Does that mean the guy has no talent? So it's a very relative thing. In politics, it's a completely different kettle of
At the end of the day, there is a message. We can choose our examples. There are several others more deserving non-dynasts who have also walked out of the Congress expressing disgust at the way the party reacts to people who don't have a surname. Okay. Viewers, for those today in the Congress party that think that they will get their due because their hard work deserves acknowledgement, today is a wake-up call for them. It's a big wake-up call. There is a glass ceiling. Call it the Rahul Gandhi glass ceiling. Call it what you want, but there is a glass ceiling. And if you bash your head against that glass ceiling, the glass won't give away. Your head will crack open. That's all. That's what will happen. I move on, viewers.